us talk about CMD command in Docker. CMD is one of the Docker instructions we use in a Docker file, which is used to define what commands it should run when the container is started from a Docker image. It can be used this way in the JSON format, or else we can also use it in the shell format as CMD, echo, and some message. And whenever we are using it in the JSON format, the first parameter or the first argument of the command should be an executable, like I'm using echo command here, echo. And now if we build a Docker image and start a container from that Docker image, CMD command will be executed during the launch or during the start of the container. Let us build the image and see. Docker build -t. I'm giving the name as my image colon CMD as a tag name and the location of the Docker file. So this will build a Docker image. Now let us run this Docker image. Docker run my image colon CMD. So whenever we run an image, CMD command will be executed during the initialization of the container. So it should print this message for us. So this is what CMD command does. It will be executed during the launch or during the initialization of the container from the Docker image. Now we can override the commands in the CMD command can be overwritten from the CLI. Like whenever we start a container, Docker run my image and the image name, we can override this echo command and the parameters. Whatever in the CMD command can be overwritten during the runtime as echo. I want to print a different message like learn Kubernetes. So it overrides the commands present in it. Not only the parameters, we can override the entire executable as well. Let's say I want to print the environment variables or run the env command. So this is how the commands in the CMD can be overwritten with the params in the Docker CLI. Now what if I want to pass only the parameters but not the executable always? Like I would like to just run this Docker image by passing some parameters, a different parameter each time. Let's say learn Jenkins. So this is where another command called Entrypoint comes into picture. So here we can use, I'm commenting this now, Entrypoint echo and the value as learn. So it should print learn. So whenever you use Entrypoint command, this can be appended. Our parameters can be appended to the entry point. Unlike a CMD command, we will not replace the values here. Means we will not overwrite or replace the values, but we'll append the values from the CLI. Like let us build the image again. As we made some changes to the Docker file, let's build it again. Docker build -t my image colon entry point. A new Docker image will be created. Now let's run this. Docker run my image colon entry point. That's the image name. So Entrypoint also does what CMD does. Then what is the difference? The difference comes in when I want to pass a different value from the runtime. Like let's say I want to pass Kubernetes. In CMD, this would have overwritten this value in the Entrypoint, in the CMD command. But now rather than overwriting, it will append to the existing value in the Entrypoint. Like actual value present in the Entrypoint is learn. Now it is appending Kubernetes, so it's printing learn Kubernetes. So this is the difference between Entrypoint and CMD. This is a very most frequently asked questions in the interview. And also, if we don't want to pass the values during runtime, we can also set some default value using the CMD. Like if I don't pass any value during the runtime, it will just print whatever is in the Entrypoint command. But I want to set a default value. So again, I'm using CMD and the actual value here. So if we don't pass any value from the CLI, it will append this Docker to the Entrypoint command. Like we need to build the image again. Docker build -t my image :test. Now let us run this. Docker run my image :test. We are not passing any values from the CLI. So whatever is in the CMD command is appended to the Entrypoint command. Now let's say I want to pass something else, some other value. Jenkins. Right? So it has appended to the Entrypoint command, but it does not use the value in the CMD. So this is how Entrypoint and CMD command can be used together. Let us talk about another important Docker instruction, run command. Run, and let's say I want to install some package. I have taken a Ubuntu as a base image, so apt-get install some package called vim and -y, passing the argument to confirm the installation. So run command will be executed during the creation or during the build of the image, whereas Entrypoint and CMD will be executed during the launch or during the initialization of the container from the image. Let us build this, and we can see that run command will be executed during the creation of the image. -t my image :test1. So it was saying it could not find this package vim, so update this package manager, another run instruction with apt-get update. So it will update the package manager and it will install the vim package. Let us build again. So here we can see it was executing this apt-get install vim and apt-get update commands during the build or during the launch of the container. So this is the basic difference between run, Entrypoint and CMD commands. CMD command and Entrypoint commands are similar, except how they execute by replacing one command. Like a CMD command can be overwritten from the Docker CLI, whereas Entrypoint command will be appended from the Docker CLI.